Tiffany Morgan. Why, hello there, my little sweet peas, my little love muffins from all around the big blue world. This is your hostess, Miss Tiffany Morgan, coming to you live from Kingston, Ontario, Canada, the home of limestone and the home to me, Miss Tiffany Morgan. That's right, as I'm getting a little bit blinded by the light here. So, sweet peas, I'm recording right now. I think it's the hottest day I've ever been in this house. It's an old, slightly older than a century home. Doesn't have the built-in air conditioning and stuff. I have a window AC on in the next room. I have a fan blowing at me. Hopefully, we're not picking up any crazy noises for that. But this is the way I'm staying cool. And I've also reduced the amount of lighting going on here because that's what you gotta do. These are the practical things of trying to stay cool during a heat wave. Heat wave burning through my heart. Nothing but a heat wave to tear me apart. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, sorry. Breakfast with Tiffany is a lovely podcast radio program on C4C 101.9 FM and on my website, tiffany.com. That's TYFFANIE.com. I am a drag queen gardener here in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I kept the drag community alive, living off my back. Carrying it through the centuries there. Sorry, I make reference to that every now and again because that's what the Maclean's article says. Because I kept it alive. I did keep it alive. What can I say? I was the last drag queen for a very long time, and then suddenly RuPaul's Drag Race became very popular, and then suddenly we got drag queens and drag kings and drag artists coming out of the woodwork all over the place. Yeah, sometimes it's I gotta shake my head. I'm like, wow, this is just insane. It's just insane at how many amazing, talented people are out there who got into drag as an art form. Because, you know, at one point I was like, well, drag's dead. It's just me doing it in town. And then, surprise, guess what? Everyone's doing it now. And in another 20 years from now, when I'm, how old would I be at that point? But anyway, another 20 years from now, if I'm still alive, you know, maybe I'll be the only one doing it again in Kingston anyway. We'll see. We'll see. Call me in 20 years from now. Well, I may be a little hysterical, a little bit heat stroking or something going on here. I'm laughing at myself like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, sweet peas. If you're a gardener out there, like I said, I'm a drag queen gardener, so I love talking about drag and I love talking about gardening. This program, it's going to be all about gardening. It's going to be all about gardening. You may actually hear the birds, the budgies in the background. Hopefully not. But anyway, this is about gardening. I took a tour in this heat wave. I took a little tour through my garden. Hopefully the audio sounds pretty good. I recorded it on my iPhone, but I have this little external microphone that literally looks like a mini microphone. It looks like one of the Muppets would be holding this microphone and singing karaoke. Or maybe, Kermit the Frog. Like, you know, oh no, they didn't have that kind of microphone with Kermit the Frog, the investigator. It was, anyway, it's a cute little microphone. I love it. But it records fairly well. And so, sweet peas, I did a little recording, 20 minutes of a walkthrough through Tiffany's garden, sharing with you some of the plants, some of the plant families that I have out there. Trust me, I could go on for hours, but this is only like 20 some odd minutes. So, sweet peas, please give it up for me, Miss Tiffany Morgan, going through Tiffany's garden. Hello, sweet peas, and welcome to Tiffany's garden. I'm actually in Tiffany's garden, and I'm just taking a little look-see here. So maybe it's a little bit of a garden tour. I don't know here on Breakfast with Tiffany. It might be a little garden tour. I have, as some of you may know, I have a few varieties of bananas. And this is a dwarf Cavendish banana that I have. It's not even a foot tall yet. It's because, hey, it's dwarf. But it should produce fruit eventually in maybe 2 or 3 years. Produce some fruit that should be edible. I'm looking forward to that. But I am kind of like a little surprised too because I've been to a few of my my friends' gardens, and they bought planters, and the planters had these in them, and I was like, wait, did I pay a specialty nursery for this? And I could have just got a planter from the local hardware store. But yeah, so we're on my my back deck, which is what I call the tropical garden. And for the visual people, yes, it is messy. I'm never really good at cleaning up. I'm never really good at cleaning up. What can I say? Um, but I have some. These are kind of palms. They're sable minor. They're like a shrub form of a palm. It's really spiky, but I do like the fronds. Sorry, as I move the microphone away from me, it is a bit spiky, but I do love the fronds because it's very kind of fan-like, very fan-like. But yeah, and there's quite a few things here. So yeah, let's switch this around though. Let's take a look-see at me. I'm doing the tour in my garden gear. I'm in my broad hat that I have, that Scarborough Dude. If you are a podcaster out there, you may know the name Scarborough Dude. Scarborough Dude, one of the first Canadian podcasters, and yeah, he came by one day and he gave me a big O kind of straw hat, wide rim straw hat, and it's turned into my gardening hat ever since. But yeah, I'm really thank you. It's part of the gear. It's part as well as flip flops. Flip flops are part of the gear as well. But Sweepies, I'm focusing on another banana. So I'm kind of known for the Musa Baju bananas. They produce what we call pups or babies very freely. I was trying to do a little bit of an experiment because the mother plant, which died in the center there, the mother plant, and it's over. There's another one of the same equal age over here, but the mother plant started producing this very large kind of corm, as we call it, and the sprouts can come out from the sides of the corm. So that I was trying to build the soil around the corm as it was growing up to see if it made more babies, but just made more mess, I suppose. But yeah, and then we got some allocations. This was given to me. It's a giant one, and it's producing quite a stem on it. It's produced in years past leaves that are, I think it was almost like a meter. It was almost a meteor. I know, sweet. It's hard to believe that. It's hard to believe that, you can grow in a pot a plant that grows leaves that are about a meter wide. But yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Uh, as I walk through here my garden. Oh, I got flowers. Oh, look at that. So, my Grow With Me challenge, um, which some of you may know about, may not know about. I'm not too sure. But, as I almost knock over the camera. My Grow With Me challenge, I was challenging you, my listeners, to grow with me and to share in the growing journey. Now, I've been kind of a little bit relaxed on that, but here is an example. I suggested we grow a Blahilda pole bean, a Blahilda climbing pole bean. And here's my Blahilda. I planted it very late, very, very late. But as you can see, it's doing very, very well. It's planted in a pot on my patio, on my deck. And it's at least 6 feet tall now. And it's producing some blossoms, which means beans, which means seeds. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there, sweet peas. We're getting there. I'm really excited about that. It's growing on this little trellis that is meant for an experiment that I was doing with a weed tree, with a weed sapling of a tree, but I may have killed the tree. I think I killed the tree. But hey, it's one of those tree seedlings that pop up in your garden, because if you're a gardener, you got those weed trees, as we call them. This is like a maple variety, which seeds all over my yard. And then, of course, we got the Manitoba maples as well. This is this is like a Norway maple sort of thing. And then there's other maples as well that grow in the yard. But let's continue on. Let's continue on. We've got some basil here. Actually, yeah, let's take a look at the basil. I bought this. Let's just be honest. I bought this basil, but it's looking really good. It's looking really good. So this is a member, which is interesting because there's a lot of members of the mint family, also called Lamiaceae family, and they're distinguished by a few characteristics. Let's see if we can figure that out together. Let's see if we can figure that out together. So one of the major things, and then I have some Lamiaceae lamium that grows in the garden as well. But one of the familiarities is actually the flower heads. The flower heads produce like a lip. I don't have a flower right now for you, but it produces kind of like a lip, and that's where the Latin name comes from. But a lot of the members, all the members of the family, I'm not too sure if you can see in the video here, but they also have other characteristics. So they have the flowers are kind of like a lip. Bumblebees love it. They just buzz right into there. Bumblebees just love it. Also, the stem tends to be a square. I don't know if you notice your basil, your mint, all that kind of stuff. The stem has like 4 sides to it. It has 4 sides to it. Let's see if we can get this camera down a little bit better here. It has 4 sides. If I cut this in half, like if I took a cutting of this, you'd see that it's kind of like square sides. So that's another characteristic of the family. Quite often, they're also very fragrant too. As basil is. I'm just realizing now too. I have another member of the Lamiaceae family down just right below here, and it does have the blooms on it too. Let's see if we can zoom on a bloom. So this is Coleus, and Coleus is very related to the basil mint family. It is part of the mint family. Don't know if you can see, but there's a little bottom lip, which helps the pollinators to get in there. There's like a little bit of a top lip there too. Yeah, and again as well. So if you look at the stem of Coleus, it's got 4 sides, square stem, all member of the same family. Yeah. Let's keep going on because there's so much more. I'm like, we should be talking more. Oh, also an experiment, and it's about to start blooming here too. Is chrysanthemums. These are fancy chrysanthemums. These are like show-stopping chrysanthemums. They'll produce like these huge flowers, which I'm really looking forward to. This is an experiment. I've never grown chrysanthemums before. I'm looking really forward to that. I should focus more on chrysanthemums the next program, but also, tomato challenge. As you may know, I'm doing a tomato garden challenge with Carson Arthur. And I think this may be the winner right here. It's really big. It's more than 10 inches round already. There's another one over here too. I'm starting to wonder if I need to support the tomatoes on the vine. Give it a little burlap there. But this is interesting because this was supposed to be an experiment. Planting them in pots was just supposed to be an experiment. They weren't supposed to, in my mind, they weren't supposed to produce the biggest fruit. But guess what? They just may be the biggest fruit, the heaviest fruit that I produce this season. Is going to be the ones in the pots. I was like, people, people have patios. They don't have gardens. What can we do to share with them that, hey, you can garden too. You can garden in a pot. You can garden in a planter. You can garden anywhere. And clearly, you can even get the biggest tomato out of a pot on the deck. Speaking of which, here's another banana variety that I have, Musa Thai Black, Bal- Balbosia. It's a plantain variety, and it's the mother plant's been in bloom since February. Still going strong. It's, it's insane. And it's produced a baby. It's produced a pup, as we call it. So that means I'll continue getting more later. Now we're going to go through a messy part of the yard. This is the side yard. It's the production side. We got some mulch, some soil, some cuttings that really need to, some trimmings that need to go away. And now we're going through the tunnel, as I call it, the side yard, which is all shaded as well. Underneath this really big pine tree that I got when I bought the house, which produces a lot of great shade, but it also produces some interesting growing conditions. So as we can see, it's getting a little dry under here. Normally in springtime it's full of lamium in bloom. Right now it's full of mint about to bloom. Some wild spearmint that's kind of growing here. And this has been so odd this year. The bleeding heart, I call it Dicentra. It's been renamed. It's been renamed. So I don't know what the rename is. But it's still, I thought they died back. They're just about to die back and go back into the garden, into the bed. So it's been a good year for them. Very good year for them. And my Empress Wu Hosta is looking really good. So the plan, I don't know if you notice here, but my path is about 6 inches wide. The plan is to widen the path. The plan is to make a proper path so that I can actually have visitors by. Because I can't, it's, it's hard to walk when there's like just a little patio stone. It's hard to ask visitors to just be like, oh, mind your step. They want to look at the garden. They don't want to be looking where they're going. We got a little ghost fern back there, a Japanese ghost fern. Sometimes it's, I do love the ferns. It's, my garden is a shaded type garden. And I do love, big leaves like the hostas. I love the ferns, but sometimes, even with the ferns, you have to find the right spot for them. Still have a little bit of blooms from the clematis going on here. And we're now starting to walk past the espalier apple trees. We got two. We got one semi-dwarfing rootstock, so it's a little bit more vigorous than the other one. It's two tiers, and we still have apples, which I'm happy to report. It's all netted up to keep the squirrels at bay. We have a little bit of rust on this shorter one. This is now a single tier espalier. It's on a full dwarfing rootstock, and it's got some rust to it, but it's resistant. It'll survive. I should give it another spray. When I bought this house, it was all about the ferns. When I saw the little fern gully that is at this corner of my back garden, when I saw it visiting houses, I was like, yes, this is my house. This is my house. Part of the project for Whiten the Path is actually to also put some boxwood edging around it. And this year is the first year that we got, I got, the half barrels, because I have 4 planters in the backyard, and the plastic ones have finished. They're just broken. But I plant my dahlias in them, and here's some of the dahlias, the orange pom-poms, as I call them. And then this one here is when I grew from seed. I call it Granny Pink because it's like a pink color, and it reminds me of my great grandmother because she had a lot of, I don't know, it was like a pink purple kind of color. That was her signature color. So more dahlias. I do love them. And of course we have some more experiments of the chrysanthemums. Although they're growing with one of the Grow With Me challenge plants as well, which is the cucamelon. The cucamelon. So the cucamelon vine is in this planter along with the chrysanthemums. May have been a bad choice. Because I think the cucamelon is now shading out the chrysanthemum. And yet to get any fruit on the cucamelon. Oh, there's a little fruit developing there. Hopefully the birds don't get them. But normally I do get quite a few cucamelons in the season. Blow off the mosquitoes. We have my little Himalayan lily growing. It's like a tree lily almost, I suppose you call it. Oh, I just noticed. Oh, so this is my Rose of Sharon, as they call it, commonly here. It's a hibiscus. It's a hardy hibiscus. I've been training it as a standard. So a standard means it's kind of like a lollipop. Yeah, one stem, and then it branches out, and it's producing the flower heads now. I'm really looking forward to that. It's very Rose of Sharon pink kind of color. I do love it. It produces a lot of seed. I grew that from seed too. I grew that from seed. And it's taller than me now. It's taller than me. My little fern gully here. I did buy these plants, these ferns. Don't remember the labels of them, but this one that's taking over, it's a short one. It's no more than 12 inches tall. It is the shield fern. It is from the northern climes. I'm quite surprised at how well it's doing in the corner here. I kind of want to dig some up and then try it elsewhere. See how well it does there in other areas. So yeah, I do remember like growing up as a kid, going out into the bush, as we call it. We go out to the forest, and you would see all this covering the forest floors. It was just lovely. And of course, again, more production sort of side of things. We're now at my greenhouse, and I'm looking at my rain barrel. Important thing to do as a gardener is to always think about collecting rain. Rainwater is a really great. It's not hard water. It's not treated water. It's really good for quite a few plants, especially even the indoor plants and stuff like that. And by collecting and reusing rainwater, it's always a good thing for the environment as well. So I try to use as much rainwater as I can. We're at my greenhouse now with the hopefully prize-winning tomatoes. Yeah, in the last week, the tomatoes that have set are starting to really get growing. I don't know if you can. There's one over there, and I haven't measured these ones. Measured the ones on the patio. As I try to squeeze in here, that's another reason why you would trim your tomatoes, is that you don't have to squeeze in. Yeah, probably not 10 inches, but I do have to thin them out. I did a video on Instagram and on my YouTube about thinning out your tomatoes. It's so that they can grow big tomatoes, because I do need at least one to be heavier than Carson's tomatoes to win between my little challenge with Carson Arthur. A little surprise secret in the greenhouse is pineapple lilies. I have two Eucomis bicolor, as it's called, and they're in bloom still. They do bloom kind of a long time. They're producing some seed on the one side, but they're called the pineapple lily because it's the flower head is so unique. So it reminds you of a pineapple, and I don't really understand how to describe it. So it produces this stem, and on the stem, then at the top, there's rows upon rows of tiny little florets. But then at the top, it grows this little top hat almost of leaves that kind of branch out, sort of thing, like the top of a pineapple. So like the flowers kind of look like the pineapple fruit, And then the top looks like the leaves on the top of a pineapple, hence why they call it pineapple lily. But it's Eucomis bicolor, bicolor meaning that it has two colors, it's purple and green. So yeah, it grows by a kind of a corm rhizome sort of thing, and I bring them indoors, dry them up, put them out again. There we go. So that's really kind of for me. It's really kind of for me just to enjoy being in the greenhouse, because let me tell you, I am recording this on the hottest day this year thus far, and standing in the greenhouse was not a good idea. So one of the things for every gardener is to also stay hydrated, put the bug spray on, and the sunscreen. But sweeties, I'm going to let you go very shortly. So that was my little garden tour. Yes, it's messy. You know, it's hard to keep up with the garden work when it's really really hot. But hopefully we'll transition into a beautiful beautiful yard that I can have people over and visit. And I'll end this day on a little bloom on some hostas. Aren't they just lovely? Looking forward to it. All right, sweepies. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, sweepies. Well, yes, that was my little video, my little tour of my garden. Isn't it great? Yes, it's very overgrown. Some of you out there will be like, if you saw the video on my social medias, you'll be like, oh, it's so... Yes, it is. It is. What can I say? Sometimes being a drag queen gardener means things are being split between two different things: doing drag shows, especially during Pride Month in June, and then also gardening in June, because June is like May, June. That's a peak gardening time, and of course I was busy doing the drag shows. You're listening to Breakfast with Tyffanie with me, Miss Tyffanie Morgan, drag queen gardener extraordinaire, on my podcast on Tyffanie.com. That's Tyffanie.com. And also as a podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, but also more importantly on CFRC 101.9 FM. I will be going off the airwaves by the end of August. That's right, sweeties. I'll be leaving the CFRC family. I'm sorry. But it's time for me to keep moving on, keep growing as an artist, and focusing on the gardening, too, instead of doing a weekly show. Who knows? Maybe we'll still do a week. I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure things out. But I would be amiss, because I am the drag queen gardener, to not mention that there's some drag shows coming up. So I want to mention some drag shows going on. So there is, what else is there? Oh my word. Stephanie Prince. I'm like, what is the show? Stephanie Prince Drag Show is happening August 19th here in Kingston. Buy your tickets today. Go to dragshow.ca. That's dragshow.ca. Stephanie Prince, Canada's Drag Race Season 3. This is going to be a big production drag show at the Four Points Sheridan. You want to sit down, drinks, you want to have all the family with you, come on down to that. Focus on that. But yeah, go to dragshow.ca for all your drag shows going on in and around Kingston. But sweepies, I gotta go. So I'll give you my love. Happy gardening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye, sweepies.